Okay. So we are starting on a 7-week series. However, this isn't technically the first week, but Chaz is going to be here next week. That would technically be our first week. So we're making this our first week, and we're going to skip a week. The thing I want you to know about this is that the entire ministry is doing this series. So our entire junior Sunday school, our uniteens, and our youth are going to be doing this series with us. And of course, it's been written by Diane Venzera, who is a youth minister, a Unity youth minister. And so she's made it easy for all ages to be able to really be able to be blessed from this material. So if you have kids, I really want to encourage you to ask them about it. They are actually doing this today. So this is based on a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And a little over 10 years ago, our Tuesday morning book club did this book, and we absolutely loved it. And there's highlights after highlights after highlights in my book. And everybody that I've talked to about it has been like, what an incredible book. And it's going to take you deep, which is really pretty awesome. The idea behind this book is really the idea of what we do together all the time, and that is to awaken to our spiritual truth. You know, we wouldn't be here if that wasn't our goal, to awaken more, to deepen, to anchor ourselves into the spiritual truth of ourselves and the truth about the nature of God and the nature of the universe and everything. So each week, there's going to also be one of our 5 guiding principles, which are God is, I am, I ask, I pray, and I act, and one of the 12 powers, which are life, imagination, power, judgment, discernment, understanding, zeal, elimination, faith, love, order, will, and strength. Yeah, I know that you guys probably knew those without that screen, didn't you? You know, the acronym I learned when I was in school was LIP, JUZE, FLOWS. So LIPJUZEFLOWS. And that has stuck with me, and I can always get them by going down that. Okay, so the principle that we're going to be looking at today is I ask. And that is, I create my experiences by what I think, by what I feel, and by what I believe. And the key word there, you guys, is I create my experiences. We do not have control over all the events that happen in our lives and in the lives of those around us. Things happen, but we do have control over the experiences that we have of the events, the things that happen in our lives. Yes? That was a hard one. Okay, Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, says, to man is given the highest power in the universe, the conscious power of thought. There is a universal creative force that urges man forward to the recognition of the creative power of his individual thought. This thought is elemental, and all its attributes come under the dominion of man. Do you hear that? It's supposed to be these thoughts are under the dominion of man. When he cooperates with principle, man sits on the throne of his authority, and the elemental force is subject to him. So when we are recognizing our place in this, that we were created to have dominion over our thoughts, then we are truly on the throne of authority. And all of this, you know, the thoughts, the feelings, and then that which is being clothed, the substance that is being clothed is under our authority. He goes on to say, thinking is the formulating process of mind. The thinking faculty is the inlet and outlet of all of your ideas. It is active, zealous, impulsive, but not always wise. Agreed? Yeah. Its nature is to think, and think it will. It is through this one power that you establish your consciousness, that you build your world. So it's through this power of the beautiful idea of our thinking mind. Now, the power that we are talking today is the power of power. And she says that power is our ability to have mastery of divine ideas and to use the power of our thoughts and words to bring these ideas into being. We are the power of God in action. So I want us to say together, I am the power of God in action. Together, I am the power of God in action. Whoa, really? It was just kind of like, I am the power of God in action. Let's do this differently. Let's do I am the power of God in action, okay? I am the power of God in action. Now we're going to do power, okay? I am the power of God in action. That's better, right? It makes all the difference. And, of course, Charles talks a lot about the importance of the spoken word, because the vibration of that energy, and so we want to be aware of how we're saying things, and we say them with power, and we say them with command, and we say it with dynamism, if that's a word. Okay, it's a word, huh, Karen? I can look to you for that. Romans 12:2, we read this, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove that what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. How many of us are somewhat conformed to the world, if we're kind of honest? And it's okay, because we're moving through, we're changing things as we go. But it's all about the transformation of our minds, isn't it? It's all about transforming our minds. William Shakespeare says, to thine own self, this above all else, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. It's hard to read some of that old stuff, isn't it? Like, I want to put that in today's terms. So, Michael Singer says, so which self are we to be true to? Are we to be true to the jealous self? Or to the self when we're in a high spiritual mode? Or the self that just cut somebody off in traffic? Or the self that is compassionate? Or the self that is, speaking from your heart out of maybe a deep depression? Which self is it that we are to be true to? And I think that all of us can relate to all of these different kinds of quote-unquote selves, that there's a lot of stuff going on in this head, isn't there? I hope so. Because you guys aren't looking like there is right now. Okay. So he says, in case you haven't noticed, you have a mental dialogue going on inside your head that never stops. It just keeps going and going and going. It's like the Energizer rabbit. And have you ever wondered why it talks in there, how it decides what to say and when to say it, how much of what it actually says is true, and how much of what it says is even important? For me, this series is so important, because we walk around in life and we are not even aware of what we're thinking. And I always love to say, what is it that you're thinking about when you're not thinking about what it is that you're thinking about? This series is so important for us to start recognizing, because here's the thing that I want to tell you, that everything that you're thinking has to do with everything that you have been programmed with, that you have taken in to be true in your entire life. Now, if you've done a lot of deep spiritual work, if you've done a lot with affirmations, you've done a lot with, shifting that, you're going to have all of that in there as well. And the reality is this thinking about what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about when you're not thinking about what it is that you're thinking about? Is that stuff is going on in there, and it's directing our lives, you guys. It's directing our lives in ways that are so subtle and that we don't even recognize that it's directing. And if we really want to have a different experience of life, we have got to do the work in order to recondition that consciousness, in order to shift ourselves as to what we are allowing to go on in this mind. I mean, it's kind of like, and he even says, it's kind of like a maniac, isn't it? I mean, sometimes, like, where this voice takes us, it gets to be pretty crazy. And one of the things he says, if you're one of the ones sitting there that's thinking, what are you talking about? I don't have a voice inside my head. That's the voice we're talking about. Is that voice that's saying exactly this? And this voice is there when you're driving, when you wake up, when you're taking a shower, whatever you're doing. This voice is there all the time. And he says, in the best way to free yourself from this incessant chatter is to step back and to become the observer. Simplest thing in the world. Simple, not easy, simple. So here's what I want you to do. This is what he asks us to do. So take a minute and just in your mind say hello. Now say hello like 4 or 5 times. Now shout hello 4 or 5 times in your mind. So can you hear that in your mind? That voice is there. And so what he says is there is a voice talking, and there is the you who notices the voice talking. And the you that notices the voice talking, that's who you truly are. That's your essence. That's your godness. That's your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call that. And so even just taking those moments just to be the observer of you making your mind say hello, 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 hello. You know, that's that stepping back and becoming the observer. We recognize there's the voice, but then there was the eye that was watching, right? The eye that was observing. The voice narrates the world for us. So I love, because he has a chapter and he calls it Your Inner Roommate. And it just cracks me up where he goes with this. He says it never ever stops talking, and it gives you seriously bad advice, story after story from the inner critic. So what are some of the things that your voice says to you most often? What comes up? I don't have enough time. I need you to speak out so I can hear you. Not good enough. Your to-do list. What you observe. What will people think? I can't do it. Not enough money. Stay positive. Anything else? What's for dinner? What's for lunch? And the thing is, even as you're sitting here right now, your voice is going. And that's the interesting thing, is that even as you're listening, your voice is going. Have you ever been, I can't believe I'm even asking this question, but in a situation where you're having a conversation with someone and they're talking, but you're already thinking about what you're going to say. And that's the voice, in the head. Or you're judging what they're saying, and that's that voice that is going all the time. And recognize, too, it will give us conflicting advice. And I'm going to say that all of us have probably had this experience where, like, okay, so I really need to get a job. Because I know I need to get a job, and there's this job, and, it's not necessarily the job that I really want to have, but, maybe I should go ahead and take that job. That would be, at least it would be security. No, I don't really want to take that job. What if something else comes along? Wait, no, I really have to think more. I have to think about, just doing the right thing, and if I take this job, it may turn out to be a really good thing, but it's not the job of your dreams. Do you recognize that? The voice talks to itself. We're having conversations in our head all the time. It's not like there's one voice, but there is, but we're having conversations in our minds all the time. And what Michael Singer says is, if we had a roommate that incessantly talked, noticing and commenting on everything, complaining, judging, and criticizing us, we would get rid of that roommate in a heartbeat, or we would actually move out, right? And yet that's what's happening for us. We actually have a roommate that does just exactly that. But here's the thing, you guys, is that we are so used to it that we barely recognize it. We are so used to it that we probably, most of us, haven't even really thought about it from a perspective of, oh, hey, I might need to really take a look at this and change this because this is running my life, because I want to tell you that it is. So one of the steps that he suggests is to kind of meet your roommate by sitting in the silence. So I did this. So I want to share with you kind of like what my experience was. Okay, so I'm just going to speak it as I do this. So I decided I'm going to go into the silence, and I'm taking a deep breath. Oh, wait, no, I've got to let my stomach come out. That means I'm doing good diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, now pull my stomach back in. Okay, stomach out, okay. It feels good when I pull my stomach in. Oh my gosh, I forgot that it's Krista's birthday and I haven't called her yet today. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I haven't called her yet today. I'm going to have to make a mental note. Make a mental note to call Krista for her birthday. Okay, oh wait, okay, let that go, okay. Oh wait, push that stomach out. That feels so weird to push my stomach out like that. Oh wait, yes, okay, pulling it in, okay. Oh, I feel like I should be more relaxed by now. I don't wonder why I'm not relaxed. I think I'll move my back around. Oh, maybe there's a pillow over there. Maybe I should get a pillow or something. Put a pillow behind me or, okay, go back to center. Okay, go back to center. So do you relate? Yeah. It's hilarious, isn't it? And we don't even, we're so used to it that it's normal. I mean, it's just normal to us. And woo, we're off in 20 directions. And we're having literal conversations with ourselves. And he says that here's the thing, that it's not talking just when you're trying to be quiet, that it's talking all the time. And it has something to say about everything. Something to say about everything. I don't like this, I do like that. It just talks and talks and talks and talks, and we're so close to it that we're actually hypnotized by it. And here's the thing too, because, and he kind of talks about this, but let's just say we come into a room and we're in a great mood, and we meet somebody, and all of a sudden we're kind of feeling uncomfortable inside. And what could have happened is that we meet this person and maybe they have, maybe they look a little bit like somebody we knew in the past, or they have what's the word I want, like when I do this? I want to say aneurysm, but I know that's not it. Mannerism, thank you. I knew it was close. A mannerism. And this voice, because it is, it's the past, it's everything, is boom, before you even know it, I don't like that person. Oh, I don't like that person, reminds me of something. I need to step away from this person. And you, before you even know it, can close a relationship off because you're not aware of what's actually happening there, because you're not thinking about what it is that you're thinking about. That's how insidious this voice is. And that's how important it is for us to start really becoming aware of what that voice is saying. And so here's what he says. He said, basically, oh, hello, okay. You are not in there alone. There are two different aspects of your inner being. The first is you, your awareness, the witness, the center of your well intentions, and the other is that which you watch. The problem is the part of you that never shuts up. If you could get rid of that part even for a moment, the peace and serenity would be the nicest vacation that you've ever had. So here's what he says is to spend some time becoming the observer. And, I have been working with this, and honestly, it has cracked me up because I'm like, holy schmoly, I had no idea how much was going on in my head all the time and the things that this inner voice is saying. But he said that one of the ways you can do this is to, and this is his suggestion for 2 weeks, is to take this inner voice, this inner roommate, and kind of take it outside of yourself. And give it a body and give it a name. Karen Drucker calls hers Stella. She calls it her inner critic. And then what you do is, even if it's just, it's hard to do even for a day. So even if it's just for an hour at a time or whatever, take this with you. wherever you go and whatever you do, this is your inner roommate. So the example that he gets is, so you take this inner roommate everywhere that you go, you sit down in front of your favorite TV show, and you go to sit down, and you're ready, and all of a sudden this roommate is saying, oh my gosh, I forgot to turn the light out. I really need to turn the light out because, my electric bill's been really high. Oh, I'm not going to turn the light out right now. I really should go turn that light out. I'm not going to turn the light out right now. Okay, so second goes by, and then it reminds, something on the TV show reminds your roommate of somebody else, and all of a sudden you're going, oh my gosh, that looks like my ex. That was the worst, horrible divorce ever. Can you believe that? That was awful. And it goes on and on and on and on. And the idea is, again, would you ever sit there with somebody who's constantly kvetching, complaining, doing all of these things? Would you keep that as a roommate? No, you wouldn't. And yet, this is our inner roommate, you guys. But the great news is that we can change that. And that's what this series is about, is this spiritual awakening, this reality that we can become the observer, that we can start really thinking about what it is that we're thinking about when we're not thinking about what it is that we're thinking about. So we can start waking up to that. We can start questioning some of our decisions, some of the ideas that come up, some of those moments when we're feeling something a little bit wonky with somebody, and we can step back and go, wait a second now, is this even valid? Is there anything to this? And I can tell you in my own personal life, over and over and over again, when something has come up that feels like an old thing, when I have stepped back, it's never been about what is in front of me, ever. It's always been about something that was being triggered from my past. And there's so much power in that, because those are the moments, you guys, those are the powerful moments that we take that fork in the road, and we start to go down another path. We create a new neural pathway in our brain. And then, it gets, each time that gets triggered, it's lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. So at the end of this, what he says is that if you want to free yourself, you must first become conscious enough to understand your predicament. Then you must commit yourself to do the inner work of freedom. You do this as though your life depended on it, because it does. As it is right now, your life is not your own. It belongs to your inner roommate, your psyche. You have to take it back. Stand firm in the seat of the witness and release the hold that the habitual mind has on you. This is your life. Reclaim it. Now, this may seem like, overwhelming, so make it fun. Make it something that, because it has just become a fun thing for me to just step back and really realize, sometimes I've been working with this now for a few weeks. So I was just out, just watering my plants the other day, and all of a sudden, I'm in this whole movie in my mind. And it was in that moment, though, that I recognized it. And part of what is the healing to this is the power of now. Is simply bringing yourself into mindfulness, mindful awareness of what you're doing in the present moment. I could have just been enjoying watering my flowers, looking at the flowers, thinking about the miracle of how these flowers grow, being grateful for the water that is, And so it's bringing ourselves back into the present moment. Bring yourself back into the present moment over and over. So are you ready for this? Yes. I promise you, it will be an incredibly healing journey. And so we'll be back together in 2 weeks. Next week, Chaz is going to be here, and he's going to speak about, what was it? The most important thing is that you feel good, because Wendy won that in the silent auction. Yeah, so that's what he's going to talk about. Okay, awesome. I'm excited, and we're gonna have fun with this throughout this.